There was someone called the Alpha Prisoner. He was the first to be locked up. He wasn't like anyone else. He was different. I would know. I was the guard at the police station. It was relatively new, and there wasn't much really to it. The guy was sent there for supposedly doing some Satanist type stuff, whatever, I don't really remember. Although what I do remember is that he would always talk about supposedly being free in some way or another, spouting out crazy ramblings of something. At first, his ramblings were pretty normal, saying stuff like, "I'll get out of here someday, and I'll do whatever I want." I encouraged him a little bit, saying to try it, but obviously he wouldn't. And if he did, well, I had a pistol, and although drastic measures shouldn't be taken, I knew at any moment I could kill him if I had to. But progressively over time, his ramblings got really weird. He would start chanting in some kind of weird language that wasn't noted, as far as I was aware, by any other person. He seemed utterly insane. Literally, the definition of the word, going and doing things over and over again, expecting a different outcome. But nothing changed. He just did the same thing. The same speech that was, in many ways, nothing but meaningless. Even on his free time, he wouldn't leave the cell. He'd always sit in there, saying that he'd get out and that he'd do something. And then he would spout some crazy gibberish. Me and my colleagues would always talk about him. We'd say, yeah, the Alpha Prisoner is nothing but a crazy lunatic, which he was. And I'm surprised he wasn't put in a mental hospital, but I suppose he was a danger, and prison, if not anything else, was the only place that they could put him in. Especially given our small town, there wasn't really any mental facilities. Well, actually, there was one mental hospital, but it was far away, and no one really knew what happened there. It was all kind of sketchy, and the place was even investigated multiple times by our local government, but nothing came of it, aside from the occasional pleads of insane people. But were we really going to take what they said seriously? I mean, they were there for a reason, but we never figured that there could be anything bad going on there, at least not as bad as anything was. Although that being said, I did feel sorry for the people there. It was just all so hopeless. Seeing them all so... how would you say it? Mad? Insane? Completely loony? Regardless, I never really bothered to think about it too much. It was just an off-putting thought. Until, that is, tonight. I was doing my shift patrolling the area and mainly looking at the Alpha Prisoner. He was kind of glaring at me from his cell, a massive smile on his face. I even said, "What's so funny?" He replied, "Don't you get it? What's funny is that you don't understand. You don't see what I see." I was resisting the urge to try and correct him and say that the only thing I see is an insane person, but I felt that that was a bit too insensitive, and I didn't want to say anything too mean. I was trying my best to just remain calm in the situation. It was a tense day, and I didn't really want to be here. To be perfectly honest, I had better things I wanted to do, like go have a couple drinks with my friends, but clearly I was stuck babysitting this person. And that's when he spoke again, this time saying something that chilled me to the core. "You really think we're alone here? You must be foolish to think that. Or naive. We're not alone. I'm not alone. In this very cell, I have all the company I need, and I'm not just talking about four walls. I chuckle at first, thinking he's truly lost it, and I just walk away until I hear the cell door open. What the fuck? Surprised? Let's just say that you forgot to lock the door. And this time, I'm feeling a little bit, how can I say it, achy. I want to move around for a bit, get a feel for my legs. Get back in that damn cell right now. I said it with conviction, because truth be told, I didn't want him to move from that cell. I wanted him to stay in there. I could, but should I? No, I think it'd be much more fun if I move around. You know, perhaps give you a bit of a game to play. His human features began to contort into a strange, empty, mannequin-like smile as he ran on all fours into the darkness of the prison. I could chase after him, I had a gun, but really I was too scared to do much of anything. Eventually, though, I plucked up the courage. As I went further into the prison, I could notice the dimly lit shadows of hands on the walls, people moving about in the cells which were empty. I suddenly felt a cold chill run down my spine, and someone whispering behind me. I turned around. There was nothing. Nothing but darkness. I looked forward, and it was the same. I drew my gun, pointing in all directions, and I just saw nothing. I then blacked out, and I woke up on the floor of the prison. My first reaction was to think it was all a dream as I looked towards the open cell, which nothing had changed. I figured that maybe I must have been so scared as I walked closer to the darkness I blacked out, and had a small dream of sorts. I then went up to the computer to log my experience. I checked the whole cell, and to my surprise, there was no sign of any escape tools or anything that he could have used to escape. But I checked the whole prison. He was nowhere to be found. Which is why I'm telling you this story. I'm telling you to watch out, to keep your eyes peeled in case you see a strange man. His face, you'll know when you see it, has a doll-like smile, his empty eye sockets having no pupils or eyes at all. He's an empty, emotionless, non-human. I do also happen to have a photograph of the prisoner. He would never allow us to take a mugshot, so we had to take it when he wasn't really doing anything one time. As creepy as it is, I'll attach the image so that you guys know what to look out for. If you see him, stay clear and notify the authorities. This thing isn't to be messed with.